These relationships will bring avenue for change and development for us in time. It is important for us to follow suit and begin to develop our light manufacturing and agricultural base so that when these doors open for our country, we would be in a better position to capitalize on what these open markets would bring to the Bahamas. Because whether we believe it or not, these open markets are coming. And I feel that this particular administration, the one who finalized the European agreement, are not addressing the necessary training for Bahamians and the establishment of these light manufacturing industry in order to compete and to be able to export products other than the service sectors in our community. Yeah.
Okay. The newspapers are reporting that the government of the Bahamas is looking at the public service, freezing the employment opportunities for Bahamians and retiring people. Gentlemen, it is believed that the governance of our country is reposed in the bureaucracy of our country. Isn't the bureaucracy a drain on the development of our country? The amount of money that is spent on salaries and personal emoluments is extremely high. Should the government of the Bahamas cut the civil service, decrease the number of people who are in the civil service? Anyone?
Well, I think the first thing the government needs to look at is the efficiency of the civil service. Efficiency is the key for moving us forward. It is essential for us to go into our public service and begin to assess how efficient it is. Once we assess the efficiency of the service, then we must find a way to address the increased bureaucracy. To address the increased bureaucracy, we must look at of streamlining what is already in place. In order to address this crisis that we're in, we have to be realistic and we must be sober-minded on how we move forward.
Senator Davil, we have a fiscal crisis in the country.
Yes.
More than almost 3/4 of the government's budget goes to pay salaries and personal emoluments.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Should we reduce the civil service?
I think the first place we need to look at is we need to look at the size of government. We need to look at our president cabinet, and we need to look at those that are there. We need to start from the top. We need to streamline our cabinet so that we can send a message to the civil service that we are serious from the top down.
Yes, but the Prime Minister said that he is going to cut his salary and the salaries of cabinet ministers, but you're only talking about 12, 15 people. I'm talking about thousands of people. What are you going to do with the thousands of people who are on the government payroll? What would a P.L.P. government do? Would you reduce the size of the government?
Well, I think if you look, I think there was a report that was done during the P.L.P. administration as to whether or not the public service was overstaffed. And my recollection, that report came back and said it wasn't. Now, the question is whether or not the public service is operating at the efficiency level that it should be operating, and then whether or not government is involved in managing institution businesses that it should not be involved in.
Okay.
You see, and so that
we're going to give you a shot of this.
If you ask any department, they will tell you that they're understaffed. All right. The police say they need more manpower. Immigration needs more manpower. Social services say they need more people. So I'll agree with Senator Dowd. We have to look at the way our civil service is deployed. And for example, if we're spending 3/4 of our budget on salaries and personal emoluments, what can we do now to, for example, maximize the efficiency of our revenue collecting departments? Do we have sufficient people deployed within the property tax department, for example, to be able to go out, do the reassessment, do the collections in the Providence and in the Family Islands? And so, you know, in these times, it's difficult to speak about putting more people on the unemployment line. I think, firstly, we have to look at how our people are deployed, how can we use them to maximize, plug any loopholes or any leakages in revenue collection, and basically talk about reduction in the size through natural attrition, retirements, etc.
So do you agree with the freeze that the government is putting in place on hiring in the public service? Do you agree with that, Mr. Forbes?
I would say not freeze, but cut back. I do believe that to put more people on the unemployment line, and we have, 5,000 kids coming out of school in June. What are we going to do with those kids? There has to be some sort of employment opportunities presented for them.
Okay.
But also, redeployment is the key with reference to the civil service. If we redeploy those people and manage them smartly, I think we can save more jobs.
In this segment of the economy, I'm going to go around the table for about 30 seconds to each person. We need about 40,000 jobs, I am told, in the short term in this country over the next 5 to 7 years. What do you have to say to the Bahamian people in terms of job creation? Just let us say that an election is called, the Progressive Liberal Party somehow wins. How are you going to produce 40,000 jobs that we need over the next 5 to 7 years?
Well, Mr. Jones, let me say that this is, of course, a very troublesome issue, and an issue that's going to face us, is facing us now as a country, and we have to come together as a country in order to solve some of these problems. But what I think the government has to concentrate on, first of all, is ensuring that we don't fall any further into this abyss, and we have to ensure that the government's policies and the agenda are not causing, first of all, more businesses to fail, and is not causing more people to go on the unemployment line. And that's why so many people are troubled by what is going on with this role reversal system, because at first you have to show the people that you are serious, first of all, about stopping the trend is going on, and
I hear
then
you, Senator,
you have to
but
address
answering the
some of
question
the
now,
issues.
what are you going to do to create these jobs?
Well, let me
You're criticizing the present government.
No, I'm not criticizing. The point I'm making is that before you talk about what you're going to do, you have to stabilize, and the point is we are not stabilized yet. The government has not gone in a position where stabilize our economy in order to move forward, and then we have to look at other areas that we'll be able to invest our money in to create certain employment. But it's not going to be easy. I mean, we have now gone on a negative track for many years, and so it's going to be a real challenge for us moving forward. No two ways about that.
In 30 seconds, tourism remains our number one industry. So we'll have to undergo an aggressive tourism promotion strategy to get what they call heads in beds, get people back here so that, and fill up these rooms so that those persons who are working 1 and 2 days in the hotels can get back to working full days, and those who have been let go can get back on the job. Secondly, I think the government needs to get out of the way of small businesses and let small businesses, reduce a lot of the red tape and a lot of the regulation. Let small businesses go for themselves, so to speak, and thereby you create, the pressure is not so great on the government to create jobs, because small businesses would be creating jobs, and they are the engine of the economy. And to do that, we're talking about decreased regulations, making sure there's credit available to companies, and stop setting them back. Stop doing things like the road reversal, which is putting small businesses out of business.
Grand Bahama needs to be revitalized, and you're from Grand Bahama.
Yes.
You're a potential candidate for Grand Bahama, one of the constituencies there. What would you do to revitalize that economy?
Well, the first thing that if a P.L.P. government was in power, the first thing we have to do is we need to go into Grand Bahama, and we need to form a solid coalition with the Grand Bahama Port Authority first and foremost. By doing that, what happened is we would be able to influence policies in our community. I think for too long the present government has become Nassau-centric, and they are not really addressing the local needs of the people. So as a potential candidate in the Pine Ridge constituency, one of my jobs in Grand Bahama would first of all go to the people and find out the exact needs. What we have been noticing in Grand Bahama is that for years the government has not really been instrumental in policy making in Grand Bahama. They have allowed the Port Authority to be the focus, that conducts or illustrate or project policy. I think the time has changed. We need to go into Grand Bahama and we need to collaborate and come together with the Port Authority and to ensure that some of the policies that we have